Hey, welcome back, everybody. It's your boy, the Crooked Commish, back at it again with another fantasy football video. So, thank you all for joining us tonight. Remember, if you like what you hear, you like what you see, please don't forget to hit that thumbs up. Subscribe to our network here. Besides this show, we have another show going on Tuesday nights with T-Nick, Frank the Tank, Foulmouth Chris, and JB, the man who has all the stats. They talk Bears football, Chicago sports on Tuesdays at 8 o'clock Central. Wednesdays, we have She Said What She Said with Sherry and Frida, I believe. I hope I didn't mispronounce that, or Frida. And then on Thursdays, we have our baseball show, Plunked, with Emilio and Christina, or Kristen. So make sure you check us out. We have a little bit of everything for everybody. Again, if you like us, hit that thumbs up and please subscribe so you don't miss anything. Now that that's out of the way, let's get into it. So, what's on the agenda for tonight? I'm happy you asked. Tonight, we're going to take a look at the players coming into their second year in the league and see who may suffer from a sophomore slump. There's a few players on our list that me and my guests are going to go over and just kind of bullshit around and kind of talk about and see what we think is going to happen this season, if they'll be able to take a step forward and progress, or they're going to take a step back, kind of crash back down to earth a little. If there's somebody that you guys are interested, drop it in the comments. We'll be more than happy to talk about that particular player and kind of go over what we think may be ahead of them for this NFL season. So, with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and kick the show off. Hey, there you guys are. So, hope everyone's doing good this evening. I hope everyone had a good and safe and happy Father's Day. Happy belated Father's Day to anybody else there. So who do you guys think will be the next Puka Nacua there? Drop it in the comments. Let us know who's the next star that's just sitting out there waiting to be found. So we have a few ideas who that could be. We'll probably save that for a different show. But like I said, if there's any players that you guys are interested or want to talk about, please just drop it in the comments and we'll check them out. So let me go ahead and bring on my guest here. You all seen him a few times. Had to pull him away from the baseball game, but he'll live. What's going on, Mouth? How are you doing tonight?
How's it going? How everybody? Yeah, this is, the baseball game is 1-0. So.
Oh, did we tie it up?
No, you're not. It's still 1-0.
I said it was 1-1.
No, you need to put the sauce down, boy.
Shit. All right. Well, we still got a lot of baseball to play, so hopefully my Cubs can get on top of your Giants there. So we'll see.
Hopefully not.
So, did you have a good Father's Day? Everything good?
I did. I ate a shit ton. So, nothing worse. Laid on the couch all day. Watched a bunch of stuff that, nobody was watching, but, that's the great time of being on Father's Day and not having to get up and cook your own freaking meal. So, it was good.
Awesome. Good to hear. That's always nice when someone can cook for you for a change.
Well, I can't lie. I kind of get, spoiled a lot with that. So
that's good. So tonight's agenda here. So we're talking about the second year players. There was a lot of good rookies that had a good first season. And there was a lot of players to kind of choose from as far as this topic here. I think one of the main ones that we kind of have to lead with is just the obvious with CJ Stroud. Like
Yeah,
he had a one rookie of the year, had a great rookie season, like kind of came out of nowhere. I think people thought he could do good, but I don't think anybody saw him doing as well as he
no,
did.
no. I mean, that guy was in the running for not only rookie of the year, offensive rookie of the year, or whatever, but he got MVP. The way he rode, absolutely, great season and took it into the off season. It definitely raised some eyebrows that no one's seen him. Ohio State doesn't have great history of having quarterbacks come into the league and do well. So for him to come
Mhm.
in his rookie season and absolutely put the league on notice, that I might going to cover my Ohio State, but I can come out there and do some things. So that was a
Yeah,
definite
I
surprise to
mean,
me.
not only was it a great individual season or a good individual season for him, like the team overall in general just completely went up leaps and bounds. I mean, they ended up
Oh
making the
yeah,
playoffs in the
they definitely played over their head. I mean, shout out to
yeah.
Coach D'Amico, but he definitely you know sent a different culture into that facility, and it showed. The defense played so much better. I mean, he took some guys from the old Niner team, and it kind of showed them, I guess, a different culture, a different way to play, and it showed. It showed on both sides of the ball, and that team did well. And CJ did well, and he did. Hey, well, I don't even only had how many games he had with 400 yards and touchdowns. He was just throwing the ball down the field and lighting everybody up.
Right, and he really didn't do it with much of a run game either. I know
No,
Damian Pierce was supposed to take a step up. I know a lot of people were expecting him to kind of take a big leap into year two of his season, but he's another one of those guys that, just like we're talking about, he definitely had a sophomore slump.
yeah,
Not
yeah,
that
he
he had
fell off pretty.
a great rookie season, but he did not live up to the expectations at all.
No,
His second
no,
season around, or second time around.
no, yeah, he definitely fell off, and I thought the offense was going to take a big nosedive, but CJ definitely put the team on his back, and he had no problem throwing the ball down the field, and he definitely has a lot of young wide receivers out there now with Diggs
Hmm.
out there too. You know, he definitely has the outside weapons to even become stronger. I mean, the guy threw for 4,000 yards and 23 touchdowns last year. Only had five interceptions, so I mean, he was
Right.
efficient what he was doing. So I could definitely see him getting closer to maybe not the 5,000 mark, something crazy like that, but still definitely throwing over 4,000 yards and maybe having closer to 30 touchdowns. So I mean, he's definitely someone that you should keep your eye on when it comes to being one of the first few quarterbacks, for fantasy wise. Because I think they're still going to they're definitely going to throw the ball. And now with Mixon in the mix, with Damian Pierce, they should have a much stronger run game than they had at any time last year. So I mean, you're going to get
Hmm.
so many guys on the outside with Collins and Brown and Tank Dale and obviously Diggs. You're going to get a lot of one-on-one matchups that they didn't have last year. Actually, they still did. They absolutely blew the top off the secondary so many times. So I've seen so many freaking ESPN. So it's
I,
there's
I think
definitely a lot to look forward to in Houston right now.
yeah, Houston definitely they definitely made sure that there was no excuses or for CJ to take a step back by trading
No,
up and
definitely, definitely.
getting
You
digs
know,
and whatnot, and then
and the fact that he put the Bulls on his back, in off season
mhm,
before talk, you know, that's the talk to talk the talk. We better go walk the walk. We take some shots at Aaron Rodgers. So sophomore slump or anything, if you get something less than 4,000 yards and his 25 touch or 23, 25 touchdown range, you know, the 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 people who actually get paid to do this they're gonna roast his ass. So
right. Yeah, no. Real quick before we get back on topic, we have a question coming in from Trey Shy. Thanks for joining us, Trey. Please don't forget to hit that thumbs up. So, Mal, speaking to a player from your team for sure, should we trust McCaffrey to stay healthy again this season?
I see no reason not to. I mean, he definitely gets a huge workload. So that's
Uh-huh.
It's a little worrisome because he has had a history of, those quad injuries, those soft tissue injuries. But
Right.
he showed last year that he was durable, and he showed at the end of last year that he could stay healthy too with the workload. And
Right. Yeah,
they
he had
do
a
have
few
some,
games,
yeah,
games
he
where he
got a
got
little
messed dinged up, but
dinged up here and there. You know what I mean? At the end of the year, he kind of had like a little growing that
mhm.
it kind of pulled him out, screwed me in my fantasy league. But
Good, good.
yeah, asshole. Yeah, that one kind of hurt. But I do see him, especially getting a big contract like that and being on, be on Madden, that cover. I think that
Yep.
guy absolutely wants to. He wants to do something big. He wants to do like a 2,000 yard, all-purpose, 1,000 yard rushing, 1,000 yard receiving. I mean, that guy had a ridiculous run of touchdowns in a row that it's never been,
How
obviously
much do you
only
believe
been
in,
equal.
though? The Madden curse? Do you think that's real? Because now that he's on
Eh,
there, like, it's like
No,
it
because
hasn't.
there's been other players that have been on there who have come out and had great seasons or didn't get injured or do anything. I know people make a big deal about the Madden curse, especially a running back like that who's had past injury history.
Right.
But I don't put too much into it, especially now. I mean, that guy is doing everything he possibly can. I think that whole team is so pissed off of being knocking on the doorstep for so long that they got to push through. You know what I mean? And if there's anybody else besides Patrick Mahomes in that freaking Kansas City and Super Bowl, I think they're actually going to mollywop the shit out of them.
Well, they definitely been the bridesmaid for a while, or the groomsmaid. But my take on McCaffrey is I definitely he's definitely within the top 5 picks, especially if you're in a PPR league. It's a no brainer. It's kind of hard
Oh,
not to
that's
see
a.
him going one of one.
I mean, that guy
Um,
with so much he gets out of the backfield. I mean, if you don't take him one, two, or three, you're lost your mind. I mean, that
yeah,
guy's gonna have that guy's gonna
and it's
freaking get you with 25, especially because he's the one that usually scores the touchdowns for the Giant or for the Niners. I'm sorry. So I mean, if they're anywhere around the goal line, he's gonna get the ball. You know what I mean? Brock Purdy is not sneaking anything in, and they're not giving it to anybody else. I mean, they might try a couple of jet sweeps and stuff like that with Debo and with the Quan Jennings every once in a while, but for the most part, CMC is going to get the ball around the 1, 2, or 3 yard line, and
Yeah, and
that
Elijah
guy is going to.
Mitchell is a decent back, but I don't think he's nowhere near the. It's not like he's going to really take away that many carries
Oh yeah,
from McCaffrey at all. So it's not really
yeah.
much
I mean,
to
and
worry
that's
about
something
him.
I would love to see Elijah Mitchell get some more run, only so that way McCaffrey probably could be a little more healthier toward the end of the year when we actually need him. But even
Okay.
then, that guy's going to not take away too much away from McCaffrey. That he's gonna get majority, even if he has a game where he only gets like 80 yards running and maybe 60 yards receiving out of the backfield, but 4 or 5 catches, he's probably gonna score 2 touchdowns. So you
Yeah,
know,
I'd say it's at least pretty good, at least like a 90% chance that McCaffrey should stay healthy for relatively healthy for the majority of the season. I mean, like I said, if there's a game or two where he misses because turf toe or some shit like that, that's just going to happen with the
I
game
think a
stream.
big, I think a big thing is if the Trent Williams stays healthy, because when Trent Williams was hurt and you know Tebow was hurt and everything like that, the offense absolutely sputtered, and he's a huge uh, reason why McCaffrey just pretty much runs wild. That's when he gets the ball. That left side is ridiculous. So
Yeah, I agree. The offensive line definitely needs to stay healthy in order for a running back to be productive. And that's the same thing. Let's get back to CJ, though. That's the other thing as well for him. He definitely needs to have his offensive line play just as well as it did last year, if not a little bit better. But I like going to his stats. Like you said, he had 23 touchdowns. I think you said 30 touchdowns. I think that's very doable, very
I
reasonable,
think that's very doable,
especially
very reasonable.
to I think his interceptions are probably going to go up a bit. They might double. If you're going to be throwing the ball a hell of a lot more, you got to expect it to probably it's going to
I,
get
I
picked
only
off. So
thing
it's
that
gonna be
worries me
better.
about him being a young QB is if Stephon Diggs doesn't get the ball and he starts kind of throwing a little diva attitude out there. You know what I mean? I hope if he's a team player
Really
and
start
he's in,
forcing that down.
and he knows that his targets don't go, aren't 150, 160 targets a year, and he's closer to like 110, 100. only catching 70, 75, maybe 80 balls. If he's buying into the team concept, that sure the ball, whoever's open is going to get the ball. And I actually see CJ, around the 4,500 yards and 30
Hmm.
touchdowns. You're right. I think he'd probably be closer to 10 interceptions, only because he's probably going to try and throw the ball up a little bit more.
Yeah.
But
There's a
also
lot
the
more
same.
options there. I mean, you still
Yeah,
got Tank
yeah,
Dell, you still got Nico Collins. I mean, and then now you add Diggs, like you said, and then even on defense they even added guys. They ended up getting Hunter from Minnesota
yeah.
to go with
So I mean,
Will Anderson. So
yeah, that was a huge get for them. But also Mixon, because I think that's something that they can do with play action pass and continue to throw the ball over the top. So I think that's another way to feed Diggs and keep him happy and keep him involved in the game plan. I would worry if he starts becoming like he was in his last year in Buffalo, where he's kind of
mhm.
not involved in the game plan so much. You know what I mean? And he starts kind of poisoning the that side of the
The
offense. I think
well
that's
a
the only
little,
thing
yeah.
that's good. Yeah, I think that's the only thing that will actually mess up the season for them is if they started infighting and bickering. But I got coach in facing Coach D'Amico that won't happen. That
No, I think the other chance. I mean, I am worried about that slightly with Diggs, and it looks like Trey the same way is hoping that Diggs doesn't mess up the chemistry. I agree. I am slightly worried about that. The thing that gives me hope that may not happen is the fact that Diggs is in a contract year. He's going to be a free agent this year,
uh,
so he
that is
knows
true. That is
if
true.
he's a shithead and it acts like an asshole towards him to CJ to where, and you could see where CJ's sitting on the bench after maybe a bad game or a bad throw because he's trying to force it to Diggs and kind of like
Yeah,
in his own head. If he pulls that shit, I think that's going to deter any teams from giving Diggs that one last big contract that he wants, considering
true,
he's
true.
31 years old. So that's the
Yeah.
only thing that gives me hope that maybe he won't be a dickhead.
No, I mean, especially because he has to understand that he's not he went from a team that was fighting not only for the playoffs but possibly a Super Bowl berth in Buffalo, and coming to a team in Texas that in
Mm-hmm.
Houston's that there could possibly be someone that could be in the AFC Championship game at the end of the year. They have the pieces, I mean, they have a defense that improved, they have an offense that improved, and they have a second year quarterback that he looks hungry. So we'll see what happens with that because they got all the pieces there. Now it's just up to him to all the shit he's talking in the offseason about legacies and things like that already in the second year. We'll see how he does.
Right. I mean, did you see this? I mean, this was part of. Is this what you're talking about here? See, just top five QBs based on last season. He put himself at number three.
Yeah, well, I mean, if I was him, I wouldn't have a problem if he put himself at one. I really wouldn't. If I mean, you gotta have that confidence to know that I'm better than those two ahead of me. You know what I mean? Like if it's 2 minutes and the ball's in my hand, I'm definitely sending one of those assholes home. You know what I mean? So I would love to. The fact that it's funny that he shows those two respect, but he didn't show Aaron Rodgers the same respect over Eli Manning. That's kind of funny, but
Well, he
you know
said.
what I
He
mean?
said.
That's
They, yeah. Oh yeah. 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 That's the.
You know what I mean? So like that's a little funny, but I mean, I have no problems with putting those two guys ahead, but I wouldn't have had a problem if he would put himself first either.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at that point, he would have to be like Patrick who, Mahomes who, and never heard.
Yeah, yeah,
Don't know
yeah.
who that
It's
guy
like
is. So,
I could definitely, I could
well,
definitely go with him on that.
I think it's safe to say that if CJ does have the big step, doesn't have a sophomore slump, but takes another leap that everyone's kind of hoping. The other rookie last year, Tank Dell, he I think is all just naturally going to benefit from that. He had I think was the second best rookie receiver out there last year. I think I think the safest one to say that who had the best wide receiver rookie season was Puka Nakua.
Oh, that was
But
intense.
would you say different, or is there another rookie receiver that you think?
No, no. I mean, like as a wide receiver, that's Puka came onto the scene like no one. Like I didn't even know who that guy was his first two games when he came into the league and he roasted freaking Seattle and the Niners. I'm like, who the hell is this guy? Puka who? Like, what the fuck is this guy? This guy dropped like
But
15 catches and like almost like 200 yards on her ass, and I was like, who? It was like open like every time. I'm like someone like yelling at my own phone and my TV, like cover this fucking guy. Like there was like,
He was the
it's
hottest
insane.
waiver wire pickup in a long time.
Oh, that guy
Like,
was. He went from like maybe 2% added to 100% added within about like a 24-hour period. There was no way that he was
correct.
not
Yeah,
on
yeah, yeah,
someone's
yeah,
roster,
for
one way
sure.
or the other. Like even if you didn't start him, you picked them up. If you were the first two, three, waiver picks, and you could add them immediately, you were doing that. There was no way you did it because, like I said, he started his first two games, and everybody actually thought that that game against Seattle was just an afterthought. But then when he did that against the Niners, right after, especially with all the hype the Niners coming into the league, coming into the new season with him being new to the league, no one knew who that guy was. But after those first two games, everybody fucking sure did.
Yeah, I mean, and he definitely stepped in place of Cooper Cup for sure. And I think Cup
Yeah.
the last few years has been the main wide receiver out there for sure. And
Well, he got
it's
his
one of those when
targets. I mean,
he's
the guy.
these last couple of years been getting injured.
Yeah. I mean, like
So
the guy
with
got
Puka coming,
160
Puka
targets.
just jumped right in and became Stafford's favorite target.
No, yeah, I mean, because he got 160 targets, so the guy got fed. You know what I mean? And even when Cup came back, he was still getting fed. He was still someone that didn't get phased
Mm-hmm.
out because that was something I thought was going to happen. Is that once Cooper Cup came back, he was automatically going to take back over the wide receiver one and kind of push him to the side. But that was absolutely not the case. I mean, I don't know after a full off season of Cup game being healthy and coming back and full training camp, and we'll see how the first few games go, how they scheme things if they use each other as a decoy type of thing. But I I could see him maybe taking a little bit of step back. You know what I mean? Because he didn't score a lot of touchdowns, but he did have a lot of receptions. So
Right.
PPR league,
Correct.
he did get you their 20 points, and when he got those touchdowns, he got you your 30 because the guy didn't have very many games where he wasn't. I think he had in the year, I think he had like 7 or 8 games where he had like double digit receptions. So I mean, the guy
Mm-hmm.
was absolutely producing, and when Cup came back, he still was producing. So it wasn't
Especially at the
something
end
like
of the
when he
year.
fell off. Yeah, that
Yeah,
was
the end
something
of
that
the
was
year,
surprising to me that when Cup
basically
came back,
the championship years for
that was a
fantasy.
big surprise. Yeah, that was a big surprise for me that I thought for sure when Cup came back that would kind of spin doom for my fantasy team because I had him
Mm-hmm.
on my fantasy team. So but he still stayed pretty steady. So that was a good indicator to what it might be like this year. But we'll see how that dynamic runs like actually with the actual full season if they both stay healthy.
What do you think of teams or a fantasy football team like owners that like to draft both top receivers on there, like on their fantasy team, drafting Cup and Puka, and having them both on their fantasy team? Like, you
That's
know what I mean?
that's that's a scare because I mean one I mean what if the game is like in torrential downpour? What I mean? To
Right.
absolutely destroy your team for that week. What I mean? You could have a windy game or rainy game or heaven forbid, your quarterback goes down and now it's a 3-9 game and both obviously you're probably gonna be your 1 and 2 wide receivers of that week or maybe a flex guy, but even then, if both of them score less than 10 points, you're fucked for that week. So I mean,
Yeah. I
I've
mean,
never liked that. I've never liked doing something like that unless it's like
it's
maybe like a rookie running back that might come into the league that I'm kind of keeping my eye on, and you got like an established guy that is running. He's been on the team for a few years and has some like history prone, of being injured.
mhm.
So then I might think like I actually did that with Elijah Mitchell when he first came in. I actually picked him up when they had sorry, what was his name that went to Dolphins. I can't remember his damn name. But when he
Mostert?
was there, Mostert, yeah. So like I kind of like doubled back, and picked up Jeff Wilson Jr. just because I know Mostert would get hurt. But it was a later round, and it wasn't someone that was on many people's roster at that time. It was just someone that was actually fucking fighting with Terry about because he did know who he was. So so
Okay.
I picked something like that. I would definitely do something. But when you got two guys that are obviously number ones, and it depends on how you feel about whatever wide receiver it is. I mean, Puka and Cooper Cup. are both they could easily together both have 115 receptions for the year. That's not something that's out of the norm, especially as much as everybody throws the ball now and LA throws the ball.
Mm-hmm.
As long as
Yeah,
long as as
that's
long as
part of
everybody
the
stays healthy, I could definitely see both guys over 100 yards reception wise.
and that's part of the big, like, it's a big risk doing that, but you can have big rewards, especially if you think the quarterback's going to stay healthy the whole season and they're going to be throwing the ball a lot. Now, granted, you may have those games where if the team, if you look at the final score and the team only scored 13 points, then you're probably fucked because there's no touchdown scored and you're just hoping at least there's yards and catches, if nothing else. But more than
You're
likely,
hoping like a one touchdown was one of the guys that you had, and the stupid running back didn't. You know what I mean? They
right.
come in and get down to get a 60-yard bomb and end up at the one. Like fucking screw your damn fantasy day up real good.
Oh, we got another question coming in from Trey. Commish, should we pick up Caleb high in the draft? So obviously, Caleb's my boy. Being a Bears fan and whatnot, I think we need to temper expectations with him a bit. As far as fantasy wise, I think he'll have good fantasy games. As far as high, like I think he's draftable. Don't get me wrong, but I wouldn't be drafting him ahead of Mahomes, guys that already been really established.
I don't know. I want you to take him first. You take him first. You leave Mahomes to me. You leave Jackson to me. You get your boy. I want you to take that guy at least second round. You take him early and often.
like I said, if he's still on their event, in the mid rounds or so, then yeah, I could feel comfortable getting him. But
It'd be interesting because like you never know. You know how those mid rounds run go. All of a sudden, someone gets a hair up their ass in the fourth round or a third round, and someone takes freaking Lamar Jackson, or they take Mahomes, or
I'm not the
someone
only
else that.
Chicago fan in our league too. So I mean,
No, yeah, it's true. I mean,
we're
you never know.
definitely
Like all of a
figuring out
sudden, someone gets a wild hair up their ass, and all of a sudden, quarterback's going to run, tight ends going to run, right receivers. Obviously, right receivers and running backs are always going to run, but usually tight ends and everybody's waiting for that first person to take a tight end or quarterback, and then all of a sudden, everybody goes freaking nuts. So it'll be
yeah, it's just
interesting to
like
see where he actually starts falling in mock drafts and things like that.
it's just like when you go out drinking, when you break that seal, you know what I mean? It's just like all of a sudden, like you're
It
just
definitely happens.
the runs start. You know what I mean? It just keeps happening
Remember,
over and
because
over again.
you always have that game
Someone
plan.
breaks
You
that
always have that
seal.
game plan. Always have that game plan coming into a league, coming to your new fantasy league. I'm going to do it like this. I got it like this. I'm going to mix it up, and then somebody fucks it up, and you're like, God damn it! Now I got to switch things around. So
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
not always easy to stick to game plans.
the only strategy to have in fantasy football draft is to have no strategy. So
Yeah, just drink another beer, damn it, because you never know what the hell's going to happen.
yeah, that too, or do another shot, and that'll help the pain go away. So
Especially when you're a pick away from the guy that you wanted.
yeah. It never fails. It's at least going to happen to you one time in the draft where someone's going to snipe you. And it's the guy you want right before. But anyway,
I was going to hear that God damn it or reach real quick.
but yeah, so Puka, like I said, I think if CJ didn't win offensive rookie of the year, I think he's definitely could have been the guy that win it. Like you said, he didn't have very many touchdowns, but to have 105 catches your first year, that was ninth of the league, and then you had 1,400 yards, which was fourth in the league last year. I think he was definitely top 5 receiver fantasy wise.
He broke some rookie record too. I can't remember who held it before, but he broke some rookie record.
And then that's another one that Roma Dunze from the Bears, I guess they used to be teammates for a while. He knows Puka really well, and he said that's one of the records he has an eye on this year. So, which would be a fucking steep ass order, to fulfill and get over 1,400 yards, get to 1,500 yards your rookie year.
Yeah, because he broke both of them. I know the receiving and the receptions or the yards on both sides. So I know he had a ridiculous year. So I do the only reason that's why I kind of say with a full Cooper Cup, I kind of see him taking a little bit of a step back. But if he takes more of a charge around the red zone and takes that 6 touchdowns to maybe like 10 or 11, even if he's around the 90 to about the 1250 range for reception and yards, his his points for fantasy are going to go skyrocketing those touchdowns.
Yep, I agree.
I mean,
Like I said, I think as long as Stafford's the key. I mean,
yeah, he
Stafford
really is.
needs to stay healthy. I think if he goes down, I don't think their backup is. Let's take a look who their backup is real quick.
I mean, I don't really care because the Niners usually skull fuck them every year, so I kind of like the fact we own them, but they are definitely a dangerous team. They're someone that made the playoffs last year, and I didn't expect them to. So, and they
So
were
they have
actually pretty
Jimmy
dangerous in the
Garoppolo.
playoffs.
They have
Oh shit!
Garoppolo's their backup.
Jimmy
So that's your
G.
boy
Oh,
again.
yeah, I'd love to
He's
see that fucking
suspended.
guy
He's
play.
suspended. I think he
Yeah,
got
only for
caught
the
with
first
some
4 games.
enhancements last year. So
Hopefully it enhances the accuracy because that guy couldn't find the fucking ocean when he was trying to throw it in.
I thought it was
Maybe if he would have hit it.
enhancing his looks. That's why he got so much play.
Yeah, well,
So
I don't know what the fuck. I mean, well, he needs to leave the porn stars alone and actually fucking look at a playbook. So,
they're
that's
taking all
all I'm gonna
the
say
football,
about.
that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's all I gotta say about that because I mean, that guy will freaking hit a guy wide open in the flat and throw at his feet. So that's why he wore him out his welcome real quick. He wore out that welcome in the Raiders real quick. Yeah, Aiden O'Connell going there and sitting your ass down after you got a big ass contract and go to the Raiders. That was horrible. I mean, I loved Jimmy Garoppolo and what he did for the Niners. He took us to the Super Bowl, but he also missed a wide open wide receiver in the end zone that probably could have won it. So,
I hear you. Yeah, he was very frustrating, I'm sure, to watch. For fantasy wise, Jimmy definitely was never really a reliable option.
No. I think he'd have those wonderful throws, and like I said, then he'd throw it at someone's feet right after that. So,
well, let's real quick before we get going, let's go ahead and take a little break and pay some bills real quick.
Adios. Yeah. 1 month, 2 month, 3. It don't break your limits. Break your limits. Come they move like a disco. One nick in my lolata. Happy boss, happy actor. So never give me ball under. Oh yeah, come take a picture. Right, young fire. Oh yeah, follow my instruction. LMS, can't they smoke cannabis? Doctors say make a pop.
the fuck was that? Go visit that place.
It's Hugh. So.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So what's the score of the game?
I don't know. Right now, I'm watching the basketball game right now. Right now, Boston's beating the shit out of freaking Dallas. So good for them.
The shit of Dallas.
Yeah, it's like they're up by 26. So.
Oh, dear Lord.
Man, they're going to start popping the champagne bottles at halftime.
Yeah, I mean, they might save everybody in the fourth quarter. Really piss everybody off.
Bro, wouldn't that be something if they put on the scrubs in the last 2 minutes and send the starters in the locker room to start celebrating early?
Everybody's going to come out with champagne on the sideline.
Yeah.
Can you do that? Can you do that? You're allowed to bring champagne on the sideline and just start celebrating before the end of the game?
It's the end of the season. What are you I mean, maybe they find you for next season, but
I mean, fuck you, find me a bunch of fucking money. I'm gonna go pop bottles on the sideline.
You're still gonna be kissing my ring, bitch.
Yeah, and they're at home. Fuck, I would definitely do that. That's a once in a lifetime thing. I'd bring a couple bottles of fucking.
That's maybe why they dropped that game over in Dallas. So it's like, we'd rather win at home with our people.
I mean, they look horrible over there, so that was pretty. They might be onto something.
Well, you never know. So, all right, let's get back on track here with our fantasy football talk. Let's go into the next position there, who had a really good rookie season. I think you had him on one of your teams, which was Sam Laporta. How do you think
that guy
he'll do this season?
That's someone I think that's going to take a leap forward. Honestly, he had a breakout season that no one's seen coming either. I mean, that guy was never someone that was a big, run and catch guy and stuff like that in college. So when he got to the pros, I thought he'd be more like a blocker type of thing. Once in a while, get someone a little seam route every once in a while. But that guy actually he had monster games. He had super monster games where he would get 11, 12 catches for 150, 160 yards and a touchdown. That would and that guy was someone he put himself in the top five of tight ends just with his performance last year. He's definitely a top five tight end in the league for fantasy and for just NFL in general. I mean, I honestly think that the guy, he got a lot of targets with Amon St. Raw, obviously taking a lot of doubles. He just owned the middle of the field. And that guy is someone a lot like George Kittle's, which I love to watch. He's someone who actually looks to find someone to knock their head off when he gets the ball. He's not going down easy. He's not someone who's just going to go run out of bounds. He's going to get the extra 3-4 yards and he's going to carry a safety, to however far he can drag his ass. So, I mean, it was something I seen him play a few times. I seen him play against us a few times, and that guy, he was never intimidated by a defense. He's nothing, he seems like he's a pretty smart kid that understands what they're trying to do, especially when they started scheming for him. That was something I thought that was going to happen, being young and especially at a premium position as a tight end. We got to block, you got to chip, you got to when it's a hot route and things like that come up for a QB that you got to turn around and the ball's going to be in your hands. He showed that he was actually pretty smart. He did things when defenses started keying on him and started trying to take him away and not just Amon Ra. And he still was, productive. He still was out there to doing, this pretty much the same numbers. He had a couple games that, were clunkers. So I don't know if maybe the season got a little long and he got a little beat up, here and there throughout the season. But for the most part, the Detroit Lions never really kind of phased him out and never really thought that it was too much to put on his plate. So they kept him in the game plan, and there was I seen a lot of catches over the middle that were for third down. That guy was a huge security blanket for Jared Goff, and he definitely surprised a lot of people. I mean, the guy had 10 touchdowns. He was huge in the red zone. He was huge in the red zone for Detroit. And I could still, maybe with the emergence of Jahmyr Gibbs, things might be a little different, but I still don't see that guy not getting 100 plus, targets even this year. So I mean, he's definitely someone I think you should keep in mind, because I mean, you got the normal suspects when it comes to fantasy. You're gonna get Kelsey, you can get Kittles, and you can Mark Andrews, but I see him coming off the board, in the late third to the fifth round.
That was my question I wanted to ask you, though. So Laporta, I think it's safe to say that Kelsey still holds the number one tight end spot.
Whoa!
Not,
I don't know about that.
I mean, at least in my opinion, and people, if you guys have a different opinion, please let us know who you think the number one tight end spot. I think it's still Kelsey, but my question is, do I put Laporta there at 2, or is it still Mark Andrews? Because I still think Laporta is definitely a top 3 tight end.
I think with Hawkinson, someone you got to watch because he might kind of creep in there. I think Mark Andrews
injury that he's coming back from.
Yes, that's true. But I also think that Isaiah Likely is going to kind of vulture a little bit of Andrews, opportunities and his targets, which isn't a bad thing. But I mean, for their team wise, but for fantasy wise, it's going to kind of suck. You're going to be more dependent on him not getting so many catches. But the touchdowns, I think, worries me more when it comes to Mark Andrews, because I think Isaiah Likely is going to take away some of those red zone, targets. I think Sam Laporta is going to be a huge, target still in the red zone. So he's someone, even if his receptions go down per game, and he's only getting 6 or 7 receptions, not getting the 10, 11, 12 monster games. I still could see him, getting 6 receptions for 70 yards and 2 touchdowns, 2 or 3 times out of the year, and especially at the beginning of the year. I think he's going to come out pretty hot. I think that Detroit Lions team is loaded and they're ready. They got a taste of what it was like to almost be in the Super Bowl and to have the meltdown that they had in the NFC Championship game. I think that team is someone that I'm definitely worried about when it comes comes down to in the playoffs, because I think they're absolutely going to be right there. I do believe in their head coach. Dan Campbell wanted to go bite ECAPs and do all the shit. Well, damn, the rest of their team wants to do it too. So,
Yeah,
if
no,
they
the
can
team
figure out a
plays.
little bit of defense.
The team definitely feeds off his energy. I think the key thing with a lot of receivers, tight ends, is definitely the quarterback. As long as Golf is still playing at the same level that he was playing at last year, which he should be. I mean, he's another year into this offensive scheme. He just got paid again as well, so that shouldn't be an issue for him. Amal Ra just got paid as well, so it's like there's still
should be
enough
happy.
weapons around him to where teams can't double up on Laporta and whatnot. There's still other weapons around to where they have to focus on other guys and just hope that Laporta doesn't have a monster game. There's the one game he had against Denver where he had 3 touchdowns. That was his best game throughout the season. And to your point, what you were saying, I think there was only one game last season where he had only 2 catches. Every other game he had 3 catches or above. So
I honestly thought they were going to figure him out. I thought defenses were going to start keying on him a little bit, and just kind of, it's okay if Amon-Ra goes out there and does his thing. We're gonna expect it, but we can't let this kid dominate the middle of the field. But he stays pretty steady. He really didn't have a whole lot of games where he just was a complete dud. So
right.
I think I could see him absolutely come back and doing the same thing. I think he's a top 5 in fantasy league. I think behind Kittles and Kelsey was usually goal number 1 and 2 for the past about 4 or 5 years. I could see him as a third person coming off, only because of, like I said, the targets and the receptions. So if he's giving you 8 or 9 receptions, 80 yards and a touchdown, I absolutely love that shit for your tight end.
Yeah, for sure. Tight end, like if my tight end can get me like 10 points, like I'm cool with that. Like I can live with that. But what kills me is when they get you like 5 or less. It's just But I mean, if the bare minimum,
he's someone who's going to give you 15 to 25. I mean, if you're tight end, and your kicker are both giving you 20 plus points, you're going to be destroying your fucking week though. You can have a good week.
Yeah, for sure. Because like I said, there's only like a handful of guys that actually score any that are worth a damn at all. I think, and Laporta was, at least in our league, he was like the top tight end in our league. So and then Evan Ingram was second, and then it went Kelsey, and then Hawkinson, and then Kittles. So and don't get me wrong, I still like your boy Kittles, but he does tend to miss a decent amount of games each season.
Well, it's not just that too. Like I love Kittles, but the offense kind of dictates who gets the ball. So sometimes you kind of get schemed out. And that's,
when he's healthy.
I mean, he still ends up with 1,000 yards and like 80 catches and like 5 or 6 receptions or touchdowns per year. But there'll be a game where he'll get like 3. He'll give you 3 for 26 and that's it. So he's someone that, football wise I love him, but fantasy wise he kind of scares me a little bit. But he's someone still that gets drafted pretty early. So that's someone that as Laporta, I could see him leaping him only because of the opportunities that I think he'll get. Like I said, like he's either the top 3 or 4 after that. Whatever tight end you get, the 9th to 11th round, whatever your league is in, you're okay with. You're like, screw it. I didn't get one of the top guys, so I'll go get another wide receiver, and then you kind of do a filler, and then and after that you're doing waiver wires for the rest of the year when it comes to whatever. Because I actually got Sam Laporta on waiver wire after one of his first games. I'm like, who the hell is that? I had to go look up and see who the hell he was, and I went and picked his ass up because I was at the head of the waiver wire and no one else freaking did anything, so I put him on my team early. I had so many trade requests for his ass. I said, fuck you. Like, give me one of your number 1 guys. And those, I got Chili and Neta freaking trying to trade for me with garbage all day long. You can keep your fucking kicker. I'm keeping this kid.
Yeah, that's the word. Like, guys, what are some of the worst fantasy trades that you've got? Because we definitely have a member in our league that.
We have a few, but
says drunk fantasy league trade options and stuff where it's like, yeah, give me Bijan Robinson and I'll give you my kicker, that I'm about to cut. So I mean, we bring it up to him too, but he's like, oh, well, I'm hoping you're drunk like me and you accidentally hit accept. It's like,
I honestly think that he should be penalized for that shit and have his team frozen for like a 24-hour period for doing something fucking stupid like that. But you know, I'm the one that's always fucking trying to get harsher penalties for stupidity, but I always get voted down.
yeah, no, well, I mean, there was a one time you suggested like a death penalty type of thing. Where was it where they stand in front of the wall and the people shoot them there where they're blindfolded? So
I mean, whatever.
uh,
I mean,
I
shit.
mean,
I mean, we have people that will draft people who have already been picked or they missed the timer, and I'm like, yeah, this is skipping for a whole fuck around. So you pay attention to what the hell we're doing. Like you got damn near like a half hour to figure out what the fuck you're doing. You got to have two or three people there, and the fact that you don't when it's time to go there and we're screaming your damn name, like you're about to get kicked all the way to the back. Hope everybody gets all your people now. Maybe they'll teach you a damn lesson. I mean, it's bad enough we kick people out of our league and you come back next time with a fucking pink jersey on that says they suck. But I mean, I'm definitely a death penalty type of person. So whatever.
yeah, well, you like to flirt with death quite a bit, my friend. So
That is true. I have become the gatekeeper, so that is also another reason why I'm like, fuck, just make it harder for these assholes because I can't figure it out either.
I guess that's fair enough. All right, well, let's go on to our next guy here. Change positions and go to running back. And what do you think of Bijan Robinson, the top running back that was picked in last year's draft, as far as just in the NFL draft? Fantasy wise, I still believe in most drafts he was a
He
first
was
round
pretty.
guy.
I think he went like in the top 5 or 6 in like both of our leagues. So I
Correct. Yeah,
mean,
I ended up drafting him in one of our leagues, in our keeper league. He's one of the guys where I'm kind of debating on weighing my options on whether or not to keep him, depending on kind of what his average draft position is in this year's draft. It seems like in most drafts he's going within the top 5, or he's definitely a first round guy. But he didn't have a great rookie season. Only had 4 touchdowns. 900, didn't break 1,000 yards, only 976 yards. And he definitely had
yeah, but
quite a few games where he was healthy and he still didn't do shit. So
yeah,
those
that was
hella
it was
frustrating.
weird. But it was like only because Algier kind of took over, so that was weird. Because I mean, he had 200 carries, and and he had 50. He did come out of backfield with 58 receptions, but he didn't produce like the whole year that we thought we were going to do. Him coming out of Texas, he thought he was going to come in there and just be like another Ezekiel or be another CMC or Bark or Saquon, but
Mm-hmm.
it's like it's kind of like they schemed him out sometimes, and it was a little weird that why they did that. Like I don't understand if they didn't have faith in him or like he wore down or something, or it was like something in practices that the coaches didn't see. But I mean, it didn't help they had Desmond Ritter as a QB. But it's kind of weird. Like
Right.
they still haven't unlocked like their offense has been such a weird thing because they still haven't unlocked Pitts, who was supposed to be this ridiculous, you know, you know, uh, matchup,
Or even Drake
just
London.
mismatch.
I don't think
Yeah,
it's
Drake
lived up to
London.
his
Like,
potential.
yeah, he's had good games, but he hasn't been someone that who thought was gonna break out and do anything. And maybe with Kirk Cousins, he's someone who is coming off injury, but he's not someone that was ever like running a crazy 40 times. So he's always been a statue, pretty much in the pocket. So with that, is him coming back. If he pushes the ball down
Yeah.
the field, I could see Bijan possibly having a great thing, but he's someone I kind of put a question mark on. I probably, depending on where I'm at drafting, I might take him on a wraparound. I mean, I might get someone depending on where I'm at, on the 10th or a 12-man league. And I someone I might do a wraparound because I don't think he'd come back to me, but he's not someone if I was in the top 5 that I'd probably take right now. He has too many question marks for me. I'm kind of worried about because, like you said, he
Well, I
didn't
think,
have a great running games that kind of like would let me know that this guy's going to be like 13, 1,400 yards coming through, especially when that Algier going and push you out at the end of the year.
I think the only thing that gives most people a little bit of hope for next year is the better quarterback with Cousins, and then I believe it's a new offensive scheme as well that's coming in.
Yeah.
So they got a new. So it's like with that compared and all the hype and talk in with the Falcons camp is that they're going to use Bijan a lot more, feature him a lot more. Kind of like they did an example of another offensive scheme where they're running back heavy and stuff. So
I mean, if he has like a Josh Jacobs resurgence, if he has like a Josh Jacobs resurgence, second year or something like that. I mean, and just kind of use Algier more of a third round back and kind of feature him more of a in a first and second, first and second downs. And he didn't have like the worst run per average. So it's not like he was out there just running into the offensive line and not doing anything. But
right.
he just had so many games where he never really got more than 15, I think 10 to 15 carries a game. I think he had one game he had 22 carries, and he actually had a good game when they featured him and he was able to wear down defenses and do something like that. And if they do more of that during the year, I think it'll absolutely be a breakout year for him. But whatever reason, he never really got more than 15 carries a game. You know what I mean? And he never really was able to like take control of the backfield away from Algier. Like, for whatever reason, they decided to kind of go towards more of the veteran than him, especially when they drafted him so high. You would think that was something that would absolutely feed him until he just couldn't. I thought he absolutely would got over 300 carries and he was nowhere close.
Right. No, and I think, and that's part of the reason what I thought as well. That's one of the reasons why I think I drafted him. I think I was 5th or so last year in our keeper league. So, but it's one of those, like you said, as far as like if I have like the 12th pick, maybe use him there or get him there, or at the very least, at the very latest, you think he's a second round guy. At the very latest, still worth getting at that.
Yeah, because I mean, he's someone that in PPR league, I mean, he catches the ball in the backfield, and if he does have any kind of breakout year, if he's giving you, 18 carries and giving you 80, 90 yards and possibly a touchdown, but you got 5 or 6 catches too, that's someone as a flex or your running back too, that's giving you close to 18 to 20 points, you'll be happy with that. But especially if you can start getting some touches around the red zone and on the goal line, I think he's a big back, so you would hopefully expect him to, get those 1-2 yard runs for touchdowns, those cheapy little vulture ones that make your fantasy day come through.
Yeah, and that's definitely the thing that you value, or just kind of like is just such a bonus on top, is those running backs that do catch the ball well out of the backfield, like Christian McCaffrey and whatnot. So with Atlanta there, is it all going to ride on what's his name? Cousins,
Kirk Cousins,
season, or do you think if they have to use Kirk, do you think the rookie could step in and kind of and Bijan's still going to be productive?
That's some Willie Beeman stuff right there. I don't know if they're honestly, you don't go. I don't know. I gotta find out who the hell freaking Kirk Cousins' freaking agent is, because he fleeced the shit out of 2 different franchises to give him a shit ton of money. I mean, in Kirk Cousins' defense, he was having his best season probably offensively before he got hurt. He was, the Minnesota Vikings weren't doing great, but he was doing great. He was having a great season.
Right.
Offensive wise, he was throwing the ball over the place. He got Jet some money. So I mean, but he's like I said, him coming back. He's never been a super athletic guy, so him losing any more of his wheels, I don't think will be that big of a deal. Now, if he get the strength back in his bottom half and he's able to drive the ball down the field and unlock Pitts in London, I think absolutely Bijan can realize some of his potential, because I think that opens up the offense even more for him. And I think that was probably a big disappointment, is that they just didn't have a quarterback last year. Didn't have a quarterback that can do the things that Kirk Cousins has shown he's a veteran and shows that he can. Do I think if Penix comes in there, for some reason, if Kirk Cousins is ineffective or he does get hurt and re-injures, any part of his lower half again, I mean, he definitely showed that, he can make make all the throws out of college. But as you know, it doesn't matter what you can do in college if you can't throw someone open, and
the thing with
do all the little things
that kind of concerns me with him is just a lot of his good passes, or like he was known for doing a really well deep ball, but accurate on the shorter passes. So that definitely could, if that holds true in the NFL, that's not going to work well for Bijan as far as being a
No,
dunk and dunk guy catching those
because
and breaking it off. If
because
you don't
what absolutely fuck him over is if Penix throws a ball at his feet and it's 1 in 10, and then it goes to the 2nd and 10, and now they give the ball to Bijan and someone they load up on, now he's running into a 8-9 man wall,
gets
and then
yards, now you're at 3rd and 8.
I guess now you're 3rd and 8, 37, and then you rely on Penix to throw the ball into another tight window, to Pitts or London, and he fails. And now you're not doing any sustained drives, so he's not getting any rhythm. He's not getting any touches because they're going a bunch of 3-and-outs. And I mean, that could be the same for Kirk Cousins. If he comes out and he's a little rusty, or he's not confident that he's healthy 100%, then that could obviously kind of. That's why he's someone that kind of. If I was in the top of the draft, I still wouldn't take him. Not right now. I mean, if he came back to me in the 2nd round, I'd absolutely put him as a running back too. But I wouldn't draft him as high as everybody has him right now, just because there's just too many question marks. With, okay. I could be wrong, because if Kirk Cousins comes out there and starts throwing the ball like he has the last few years, and opens up unlocks the offense, and this guy just starts dropping 100-yard, or 100-yard rushing games every week and scoring a touchdown on 2, he's absolutely going to be someone still. If he does go to like the 8th or 9th pick in a draft in your fantasy league, that guy could absolutely he was a horse at Texas in Texas. So if he can somewhat have the same production, he's absolutely gonna he could drive you all the way to a Super Bowl. He's someone who could.
Yeah, I think for sure if in your plan, if he ends up being like your number 2 back and he performs like your number 1 back, say you got McCaffrey or whatnot, and Bijan was back around, to at the 2 at the end or whatever, for whatever reason, and you're able to load up that way, and Bijan ends up producing like a McCaffrey, then yeah, you guys, your team should definitely be, if not in the playoffs, of the championship game.
I mean, it's one of those things like if you're in a 10-man league and somehow you get like Amon St. Ra, as your wide receiver, and on the wraparound you get Bijan, you know what I mean? And then he produces. I mean, that's something that right there that could. You got two. All of a sudden, you got 2 number 1s that you didn't expect. You know what I mean? Because obviously, like most of the top running backs are gone at that time, and you're not going to see him on the way back. So if you catch him there like that, and you get someone like a top, like an AJ Brown or something, or whoever you want to pick, or you double up, running backs, you get like you think Derrick Henry's going to be, return to King Henry status. So you get a King Henry, and then you get Bijan. Now you're set, at running back on the way back. You can kind of focus on your wide receivers. And if Bijan actually outplays Derrick Henry or something like that, whoever you pick as your number 1, then you're absolutely freaking over the moon, because now you got someone that's going to give you those 20 to 30 points a week. That was your number 2.
Yeah, and that's a perfect example too of another player that I think that's very realistic. If you could definitely have a Derrick Henry and Bijan Robinson both on your team as your 1-2, and like I said, if those guys both produced at a Derrick Henry level in Tennessee, then yeah, you're going to be smashing your leagues for sure. So we got through most of the guys we wanted to talk to real quick. I just wanted to ask you, there's 2 other guys that I just want to get your quick opinion on. They were drafted relatively high or had some expectations last year coming in as rookies, but whether it was just bad play because they were on a bad team or they end up getting injured, how do you think that these guys will do coming into their 2nd season? Do you think they'll be able to bounce back? Of course, I'm talking about one being Bryce Young and then the other being Anthony Richardson. What are your opinions on those 2 quarterbacks coming into their 2nd seasons? Both disappointing, but for 2 different reasons as far as why they were a bit disappointing.
Well, for Bryce Young, I think he's going to have another tough year. Honestly, I think they haven't really done much to kind of help him offensive wise. So, I mean, he's already probably taking too much of the load on as it was. I don't really see this guy staying healthy for much of the year, because he's going to he has to do too much. He has to do too much. He has to do too much just for them to be in games, not to win games. So it's just unfortunate that he's in a in a culture that is toxic with the owner that is fucking retarded, and
Yes.
it didn't really get any better this offseason for him. So he's gonna go back into year two with really nothing improved. With nothing on the outside. I mean, they for whatever reason they got rid of DJ Moore and McCaffrey, so they did him zero favors with that.
Right.
And like you said, they had like an aging Adam Thielen as basically their number one. And
Right.
I mean, I kind of don't. I I hope I'm wrong, but I kind of see him washing out of at least out of Carolina in the next few years. They're gonna be at the bottom of the draft again, and they're gonna have to take a QB, if not next year, then the year after that. I mean, I don't see this guy making it to a second contract. Not with Carolina, unfortunately. Not unless he has some kind of ridiculous renaissance and just likes to, you know, absolute freaking league on fire somehow. But he has no weapons. He has no help. I mean, that poor guy got drafted into the worst possible, you know, scenario for himself, situation. You know what I mean? And everybody can look back and see if that was C.J. Stroud in that position, then we wouldn't be talking about C.J. Stroud in the same way. Because I don't honestly think you could put Patrick Mahomes on freaking Carolina right now, and I still think they'd win 6 games. So
Damn.
they're just a horrible team right now, and they don't got much. They need a game plan in Jesus in their freaking life is what they fucking need, because right now they got no game plan, they got no direction, and I don't see them getting any better in the next few years. So I honestly think that poor kid is going to take a beating again, and if he makes it through the full season, I'll be surprised. I mean, that'll actually be a win for him if he could just stay healthy for the whole year, and kind of just make any kind of progress, mentally, that I can play in this league.
So
Anthony Richardson just needs to stay healthy. He just needs to stay healthy. That kid showed
he's in a better situation, has better weapons around him for sure.
He has better weapons. He's in Jonathan Taylor in that offense, and he has some stuff that he can do. And he played well. And there's someone I didn't think that would actually, show anything more than what he really was at Florida. He really didn't do a whole lot, like offensive wise. And he wasn't really. Right. He had explosive games. He had good games, but he wasn't a prolific passer. I mean, he kind of a better version of Tim Tebow, I guess, in a weird way. To say. I mean, Tim Tebow won Heisman and did things like that, but he was along the same lines. Just a big physical guy who could go out and take it on the outside and beat up, all the younger guys on the outside in college. Well, he tried to do that in the NFL, and it backfired. He got his ass kicked real quick. He found out that you can't take on safeties you can't take on safeties and linebackers in the NFL the way you could in college, and he found that out real quick. And if someone gets into his ear and lets him know that availability is the best thing for him, in his team, then I think he is someone I think you can. He would be someone that I would pick on my fantasy league as a QB2. He's someone that I would keep on the as whoever I drafted first. He was someone I would definitely put on my radar if he was on waiver wires. I'd pick him up for a couple games and see what he could do, because he has potential. He showed last year that he could have good games. Indianapolis came out and was a surprise team at the beginning of the year. So
it'll be surprising.
He's someone. Yeah, it definitely surprised to see what he can do with a healthy season coming into the league, being healthy. But they definitely got to tell him, get out of bounds and slide, because your ass is going to get your head taken off again. Can't keep getting concussions and getting blown up. That guy.
I think how
he's taking a beating real quick.
He was trying to scramble around the end zone, or he'd like to rush. Like when they get towards the end zone, it seems like he liked to. I don't know if he's calling his own number or what, but he had a few QB scrambles or QB draw plays.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And he trying to take on people on the. Yeah, I got blew up at the goal line.
Taylor in the backfield, you should just be handing it off to that guy.
Exactly.
That's what they're paying him the money for.
Yes, he held up to get all the money so he can score touchdowns around that area. He's trying to be like the next Cam Newton, but Cam Newton didn't last very long. Even as big as Superman was, he found out that defensive linemen and linebackers are kryptonite. And just to be the same, it'd be the same for Anthony Richardson. If he decides to keep doing what he's doing, he's not going to make it to a second contract. He's going to be out the league all beat up.
Yeah, I'm curious to see, like I said, what he's going to do, what he can do through the air. I think a lot of his highlights that what we saw last season came through the ground.
He's
At
running
least
around.
off the top of my head, I don't really remember too many highlight great throws that he made to Michael Pittman or somebody, along those lines at all.
Yeah.
So a lot of his
Yeah. I
highlights
mean,
to rushing and
I don't want him. I don't want to see him to stay in the pocket or do anything like that. But I definitely would like to see him. Some design stuff to where he runs and then slide, get your ass down, go out of bounds. I mean, because
football.
in Indianapolis is Duncan Minshew Gardner to kind of that good backup to have him stick around in case he gets hurt for 8 or 9 games. He needs to play 15, 16 games out of the year for the Indianapolis to have any kind of chance. That division is fucking stupid loaded all of a sudden. You know what I mean?
They got good.
It got good real quick. I mean, well, I will see what happens with Lawrence getting his big contract if he decides to have a breakout season. But they were a playoff team last year or the year before, and they are someone who could bounce back. And obviously, we've already talked about Houston. They got big expectations, and there's a lot of people looking at them. So that's definitely Indianapolis's biggest worry is if they can keep Anthony Richardson upright for majority of the year.
Yeah. I think a lot of Pittman's production and even Jonathan Taylor's production to a point is going to depend on Richardson not only just staying healthy but being able to play well within the pocket. So the running stuff is nice.
I don't even know who do you know who their backup even is? I don't even know who the backup even is now that Gardner Minshew's gone.
Let's take a look here. Colts.
If it's some bag of potatoes, they're going to be screwed if he gets hurt again. So
might be the Joe Flacco.
Oh shit! Okay. Well, they might be okay then. Fucking Super Joe might come in and write. It might be okay, but you definitely don't want to see. You definitely don't want to see Joe Flacco. Yeah, you want to if he has to come in, you want to see Joe Flacco in the playoffs. That's probably where you want to see him. You don't want to see Joe Flacco in week 3.
Yeah, ring. Fuck off. Guy knows how to win. You can't just count him off. Even though he's old, he still has enough NFL veteran savvy to know how to win a game for sure.
No, he definitely rode the Browns into the playoffs. So I mean, he definitely knows what he's doing. But like I said, you don't want to see Joe Flacco in week 3, and if Anthony Richardson doesn't get an idea in his head that he can't take on these bigger guys at the goal line. He's not going to be there. He's not going to be there past week 3. So
might need to put that bust label on him.
Because he's going to be busted in the freaking hospital.
All right. Well, we're about a little over an hour into it. Let's go ahead and wrap it up here. I want to go ahead and thank you, Mouse, for joining us again here and giving us your fantasy football insight and opinions. We really do appreciate it. We also appreciate all of you out there for watching. Please remember to hit that like button, subscribe to us so you don't miss any one of our episodes or even any of our other shows that we have going on throughout the week.
Thank you for all the questions.
Yes. Again, thank you for your questions. We really like interacting with you guys. In the future, don't be shy. Please go ahead and drop a comment or a question. We'll be more than happy to interact and talk with you guys. So even if you're watching this later, leave a comment there, and I'll get back to you guys if you have a fantasy football question for sure. Just want to give a quick reminder for tomorrow's show. We have our main show on Tuesday, 8 o'clock Central. I'm always used to our time being in Phoenix here, but it's 8 o'clock Central. Then on Wednesdays, she said what she said. I believe that's 7 o'clock Central most times. And then Thursday, we have our baseball show Plunked, where we talk about the shitty-ass White Sox and how shitty they're doing, and our struggling-ass Cubs. So hopefully they can win and pull a game out against them shitty-ass Giants over there that they're playing against.
So, we're both under 500, so fuck your team more.
Touche, my friend. So, all right. Well, with that said, thank you guys again. Please remember to like and subscribe. Join us again next Monday for another fantasy football show. And remember, guys, either be good or be good at it.